Whiskey Jack is a singer-songwriter from Perth in Western Australia, and Kiera Jas is an artist originally from Margaret River, now resident in Perth. Separately, they have very successful solo careers, with Jack's single Wildcard named WAM Country Song of the Year in 2025, and Kiera the winner of the 2023 Nannup Festival Award, amongst other things. Together, they released the single Old Expressions last year, and they now have a new single, the very lovely, quite indelible, Remain Strange. So I'm going to ask them about that and perhaps about being strange. I don't know. Hello, Kira, and hello, Jack.
Hello.
Hey, Sophie.
It's good to meet you both. And yes, you both have music out separately, and then you have these two singles together. And because I haven't interviewed you before, I always like to find out a bit about what leads you to become an artist. So, Kira, I'd like to start with you and your path as an artist. When did you write your first song?
I wrote my very first song when I was 18. 18? Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I kind of started songwriting at about 16, but actually sitting down and writing my first original. I was 18 and I was off the back of some travel, so I was very inspired.
Okay. And so,
Yeah.
were you playing guitar by then, or did you pick up guitar in order to write songs?
I was playing guitar. I started with the ukulele, and that sort of helped me get the rhythm and the coordination to then pick up the big gun and do guitar. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had a couple of basic chords down. So it's a classic like C, A minor, G song. But
Nothing
yeah.
wrong with that. They're good chords.
Yeah.
So at what age did you pick up the ukulele?
Oh, I was in high school still. So my friend just came to school with a ukulele and she was like, I think you should have this. And I
Oh,
still have it somewhere here. And yeah, that just sparked something in me in terms of songwriting and accompanying myself with music. And such a good instrument to just pick up and get chords really quickly. So yeah, it was about maybe 15 or
okay.
16.
Yeah, because I think I used to hear about more artists picking up the uke first, but not anymore. So it's sort of I
Yeah.
don't hear it mentioned that often. But so Jack, do you happen to play the uke as well, or is Kira on her
No,
own in this? You don't.
yeah, Kira's on her own. Yeah.
So when did you start playing guitar?
I started a little bit in school. I got some lessons, but really took to it like after school. Refound my passion. I started songwriting. I moved to Canada for a couple of years in 2016 to 2018, and we lived in a remote mountain town, and our driveway was about 200 meters long. So we are pretty far down on the list of places to get plowed when we'd have heavy snowfall.
Right.
Yeah, so in the winters, I just sort of hunkered down and started songwriting there. I'm a bit of a word nerd, so yeah, I think playing guitar is a bit of a vessel to singing. It's a
Okay.
boat.
So were you in one of the prairie provinces then? If you had a 200
No,
meter long driveway?
no, we're in the mountains. Yeah, it was just it was a strange property. It was the owner of the property was he was known as the Bigfoot man of town. Like he was trying to track him down.
Well,
He
if
was
you look on TikTok,
yeah
I think a few people are still trying to track Bigfoot.
yeah yeah.
So you said you're a bit of a word nerd. Does that mean that you have always loved reading, or is it more that you like to write lyrics
I think
over
like
music?
yeah, everyone listens to music differently. Some people listen to the beat or the groove, or I just like fixate on the lyrics. So yeah, if the song doesn't have it lyrically for me, I'm like, I'll move on. But yeah, I like writing, and um, yeah, I think the songwriting is probably the part that I like the most of the music journey. Yeah.
So which songwriters have influenced you the most, or actually rather, which songwriters inspired you first, if that makes sense? So when you were starting to listen to music as a younger person, you're hearing those lyrics. Which songwriters or artists did you respond to the most?
Yeah, I think like Ben Howard and Gregory Alan Isaacoff,
Mhm.
big heroes. Yeah,
And Kira, for you, who are your biggest inspirations as songwriters?
Oh, Missy Higgins was for a long time, yeah, and then it sort of turned into. I was listening to Julia Jacklin a lot.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know Julia Jacklin, but a lot of those really folk women like, yeah, just the the stories and the feelings they were able to bring into the way they created their melodies and things like that really got me on my own journey.
Did you not go on to support Missy Higgins at
I
one point?
did, yeah. Oh, it was so amazing, just that opportunity. And one of my guitars, the main guitar that I play is named after Missy Higgins because that was her first, performing live show. So that concert has a lot of like milestone moments for me.
So, Kiera, when did you decide that you wanted to pursue music as something? Because as I said, you have quite a few releases. So, when did you start to think, yeah, this is something that I am good at and I can work towards putting music out?
Yeah, that was definitely after going traveling. So after school, I went traveling for like 3 months, and I was with my music friends. So there was a lot of singing and a lot of just being together in music while I was traveling. And then I got home and I wrote that song just with the joy. I wasn't thinking about I'm going to be a musician, but it was literally like after writing that, I just had this feeling of, oh, this is what I meant to do. And for a long time, I thought I was going to go on to be an actress and go to WAPA and do all of that. But then I just got a way stronger feeling with music and songwriting and what kind of musician I would want to grow into be. So yeah, I was about, I reckon, 18, 19 when I decided that this was going to be my career.
And Jack, did you have a similar moment of realization, or was it just this creeping thing where you were like writing all these songs and you thought, I have this body of work now?
Yeah, music's like kind of a side hustle. Yeah, um, I lost my train of thought.
That's
Yeah,
I think a side hustle for a lot of musicians, just because it is hard to do it full time.
it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just I think performing was something that scared me, and then there's like you should do the things that scare you. Um,
Right.
yeah, so there's something about it. It was like the nervousness, but also the feeling of connecting with an audience and sharing your art. It's
Hmm.
really special. Yeah.
How do you feel about performing now?
Um, it's yeah, it's still challenging, but also really rewarding. And yeah, I think just um, I'm a bit of a shy character, so yeah, it's giving myself time to sort of open up and be myself is something that I'm working on. But yeah, really sharing the
I
songs
think
and
I think
yeah.
reasonable. We've got installed. Sorry, we had a little Wi-Fi stall then. So for anyone who's listening, that's why I jumped in because I wasn't sure if Jack was still speaking. Jack, I do have another question for you, which is in 2024, you were selected by Angus and Julia Stone for the Wild Turkey House of Music mentorship program, and I'm wondering what you learnt through that mentorship.
Oh, it was huge. Something Julia said that I think about all the time. Um, they were giving some tips on performances, um, and she was saying how when you're performing, if you're thinking about other things like what's the crowd thinking, or if you're thinking about anything else other than the song, how can you like expect other people to listen to it? So
Mhm.
like, yeah, I took away like when you're performing a song, it's like you want to be in the song and like serving the song kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we had a whole week of mentorship like classes, so the whole thing was just one big amazing experience. Yeah.
I think it could be hard, or it must be hard though, when performance doesn't come naturally, to not be there thinking there are people watching me, and just to.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, maybe focusing on the song is a way to manage that. So, Kira, have you ever felt nervous about performing, or is it like your natural habitat?
Oh, I definitely get nervous. I get like, but maybe it feels like more adrenaline.
Right.
So it also really depends on the show and like, yeah, like I remember the Good Day Sunshine with Missy Higgins. I was so nervous. Like I think I've found a new point of feeling nervous. And then and then after that, but I've always have this thing where as soon as I get on stage and I'm behind the microphone And this has happened ever since I've started performing in front of people. As soon as I'm there, everything just fades away. And I'm just like, I don't know what happens, but it's like I'm so nervous. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, this is fine. And then I feel like I'm in the natural habitat and there's no filter. And yeah, I feel like, just it's, there's definitely moments where there's some songs where maybe I'm not as present, but then when you are present in the performance, you can really see that sort of transfer out. And yeah, it really depends on, I guess there's so many factors like the morning of and the lead up and stuff. But yeah, I definitely agree with Jack. Like when you're there and when you're imagining the world that you made for this song, it just can impact a lot more for yourself and the audience. Yeah.
And Kiera, you've been releasing music since 2018. So Jack, you started in 2021. And I was looking at that thinking, well, that was not a great time for people on the East Coast, but of course you were in the Free State of Western Australia where releasing music probably suit better. But Kiera, for you, you started a bit earlier in 2018. So I'm imagining that you feel you've evolved a lot since then as an artist.
Definitely, yeah. I sometimes I will listen to those older songs just like as a time of reflection to see sort of where I am now. And it's so interesting, just even like the pitch of my voice is different. So that's really fascinating to hear. And yeah, I feel like for a while I was probably mimicking a lot of artists, but now I feel quite confident in my own sort of unique style and sound and where I want to take that and always like taking in from other artists that I'm listening to and stuff. But I like to be very unique and not try and match anything.
Yeah, which makes sense. And Jack, you from the start, you've had this really strong emotional vocal, and then the lyrics to go with it, because as you said, you really like to focus on lyrics. But I'm wondering for you as a singer, did you feel you had that vocal identity to begin with, or is it something that you actually worked on to go with your lyrics, if that makes sense?
No, that's just my voice. It's taken a while to like accept it because it's a bit unique. But yeah, I've actually done some singing lessons with Kiera, so she's helped harness the voice a little more. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Is that how you started collaborating, or you knew each other already and then you asked Kira to do some lessons with you?
Yeah, I think we knew each other already, and then I was like, "Hey, you teach vocals, help me."
Well, you very neatly led to a segue about you collaborating, because these are actually my next question. So I'm wondering how you, when you probably just encountered each other through music, but at what point did you start or get the idea to collaborate, and whose idea was it, or was it just this mutual decision?
Yeah, Jack, do you want to tell the story?
Yeah. Well, we kept getting put on the same lineups. We were both on at Nannup in 2023, I think it was. I think that's maybe where we met. And then we had like 3 gigs, and it was like every weekend, and we were on the same bill, and it was just like, oh, it seems like the universe is pushing us together. Let's catch up and see if we can write a song together. And
And so,
then it
sorry, go
really,
on.
yeah, the songwriting really flowed. It feels like a lot of Kira's songs. I'm like, oh, I've written a song in that similar sort of world, like writing about the garden or stuff.
Gardens of flowers.
Look, I think gardens are a very worthwhile subject to pursue, actually. And it's, there's that sort of somewhat trite phrase, go and touch grass, but it does mean something. Like I think if we all spend a bit more time in gardens with nature, actively grounding and literally grounding, then
Yeah,
it's better for everyone's sense of
Yeah,
self and calmness.
yeah.
definitely.
So do you remember the first song you wrote together? Or has it been one you released already?
Yeah, our first song, we still have. It's called "Before We Go,"
Mhm.
and that was from the very first songwriting sesh in Jack's backyard. And yeah, I remember it's because it's always a new experience when you're writing with someone new. There's a lot of like, I like that we sort of took the time to hang out and sort of catch up a bit before like going straight into trying to create something, because a lot of the collaboration is, I guess, yeah, the friendship in that as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that one was about like things moving quite fast, and you just day to day sometimes you forget simple stuff like your
Mhm.
keys in the house before work, or something. So the lyrics in there are very honest, and yeah, I still enjoy when we sing that song together.
So have you now, obviously, well, that suggests that you've done some performing together live. How many shows have you done?
We we did Soak in the Folk, which was our sort of own concert that we created in Fremantle at
Mhm.
a venue called Hybrid Warehouse, and that was all about showcasing our solo stuff and then duoing a duo set there, which
Yeah.
was really cool to do. So we performed there, and we did a cute like coffee and lyrics morning show. What
Did a
else
honky
did we
tonk
do?
set.
Oh, honky tonk. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, Honky Tonk in
Yeah.
Freo gets a mention a lot recently. It's obviously the best new venue. What is it?
It
Yeah.
Oh,
is.
it's probably even not that new anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so
yeah.
cool.
It's very good for the scene over in WA, giving new bands and just new bands and current bands like regular gigs without the pressure of selling tickets. Like
Right.
they're there
Mm.
creating an environment where people love to go and dance.
Hmm.
That's also part of it. It's like you're
Right.
performing, but so are the dancers, and yeah, good vibes.
Do you mean like rock and roll dancing, swing dancing, that kind of thing?
Yeah, boot scooting. Yeah,
Line
Uh,
dancing.
yeah, line dancing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Soak in the Folk to me sounds like a going concern. Please use that again. That is,
Yeah,
that's a
it's
great.
cool. Hey.
Yeah. Well, that's your own. That's a mini festival or a full festival right there, just for having
Yeah.
Yeah.
that name.
Yeah, we were like texting trying to like get a play on words or something, and then that one popped up and we were like, let's do it. That's a bit silly, and yeah, it ended up being really fun, and hopefully we'll do another one soon.
Maybe
Well,
we'll
speaking
do one at a spa where everyone can like sit in a tub and we're actually soaking.
or you could do it like a nail salon, like pedicures are happening. Everyone's the feet are there, so they can still move around. You know, I'm digressing here because I was going to
Perfect.
say, speaking of a play on words, you have this in the new single "Remain Strange" because the opening lines includes starting off as strangers, and then we have the play on words with strange, as in odd.
Yeah.
So, Jack, given that you love language, I'm guessing this might be your turn of phrase.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we wrote this song on my back porch. And we sort of had the verses and we had this chorus, but it we were working out like how the words needed to what arrangement the words needed to be in. We had the words and we are like, yes, this is so close. And then I think we were joking around with like a Southern American accent. And it was
Mhm.
like, mind if I remain strange? And then it was like, oh,
There it
light
is.
bulb. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just like had that moment. I've said it before. It was such a had to be there moment. Like just the way everything led to Jack saying that, and we were already a bit delirious from the songwriting day, and we were just in fits of laughter, and it was just like that is the song. Like it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great turn of phrase. And not only that, there is a rooster at the end of this song.
Yeah.
There it is.
And I'm wondering if it was a resident of the studio.
No,
It
it
was a
was.
neighbor of a studio, I think.
Was
Oh,
it a neighbor? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember we heard it through the window at Dylan's studio, and then we are like, "Hey, maybe that should go in this song."
Yeah, we used a sample sound or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we had it like at the start originally of the song. And then we were like, oh, maybe it's better placed at the very end. So it's like just the last bit of strangeness after you've
Yeah.
heard the whole song.
And I think it does work at the end. I didn't actually note the name of your producer. So obviously, first name is Dylan.
Dylan
Yes.
Olivier. Yeah.
Mhm. And how did you start working with him?
I started working with him a couple of years ago. I loved he had a really cool band called The Money War. I don't know if you ever heard them. They were doing really well, and then I think Dylan didn't want to be touring that much and dug into production. And yeah, I think we met up for a coffee, and I was like super fan. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting this guy. I listened to his music. Yeah, and we started working together, and yeah, I think I suggested to Kira, like, do you want to try out recording a song with Dylan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's turned into two songs because I'm guessing he did your first single together as well.
No, we did that
Mm.
one with a producer called Andy Lawson, which is who
Okay.
I normally work with. So it was really
Okay.
fun to like do that song and work with Dylan, and yeah, that informed this each song in its own way.
Mm.
Well, again, this also leads neatly into my next question, which is about the division of labor in terms of how you write, but also we've had one producer each for these songs. So I'm now wondering when you've been writing together, have you found that each song's kind of fall in the same way that like Jack, you might do more of the lyric writing and Kira, you're doing more of the melody, or is it very much a collaboration in the moment and whatever works for the song?
Ooh, that's a great question. I personally feel like uh yeah, they have both occurred like in similar ways where we have the chord progression and yeah, I'm a melody fanatic. I love making melodies and stuff. So we often will like hum over what we have and sort of see what fits in there, and then Jack often comes up with a pretty awesome phrase initially. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty like it's a
It's
nice
very
flow,
positive.
and
Yeah.
yeah, like we might have something and then take it away and sort of work on it and bring it back together. That's my personal feel. I don't know what your
Yeah.
is,
Yeah,
Jack.
I feel like we get the core of the idea in the songwriting sesh, and then if the
Mhm.
idea feels good, it's sort of worth finishing. And then we might go and I'll be like texting verse ideas. Oh, what about this here to Kira? Oh, I've got this idea, but like, how would you sing it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, Kira, I know you've done some collaborating before, but Jack, is collaborating something that comes naturally to you?
Um, yeah, I would say so. I have Kira's probably I yeah. I have a band as well, so we
Oh.
collaborate on my own personal stuff, more with instrumentation. But songwriting, I haven't songwritten with many people, so definitely takes a gel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Kira, you had in your back catalogue, shall we say, from a few years ago, you had Above the Water was one of the songs in which you collaborated. Was that a
Yeah.
co-write collaboration or just recording collaboration?
Yeah, that was a co-write. Yeah. So Tom River, at the time he was known as Askia, and that was my first proper collaboration. So I remember being like, oh my gosh, like how does this work? Like I'm so used to just being in my music room and or in my bedroom and then there's a song. So yeah, it was definitely like uh, a brand new experience, and it's such a wonderful way to evolve as an artist and expand your perspective on so many things. Yeah.
So when you set out to write Remain Strange, did you have, because it is this, has this great feel to it. I'm wondering whether you actually, I don't want to necessarily use the word vibe, but I think it probably is appropriate. Did you have a vibe in mind for it once you started writing, thinking, oh yeah, I can definitely hear how this would be produced, or is it something that actually did emerge in the studio? It's a question for either one of you.
You
I think
go,
we
Jack.
we
Yeah.
made some playlists. Working with Dylan, he really likes to flesh out as much as we can before we get in there to maximize our productivity. But this song really felt like it needed a somewhat stripped back approach, and we were going for a bit of a Lumineers stomp clap kind of vibe. We did the drums ourselves. Like Kiera and I were, we set drums up in the living room and had a bunch of microphones and long cables. Dylan's in the studio and he's like, "All right, here we go," and like hitting these drums. And yeah, it's kind of, we wanted it to feel kind of DIY and a little bit strange, but yeah.
Yeah, and we used a lot of like there's a lot of radio signal type sounds in the song, and from the start we knew we wanted a bit of a like old setting, like a vintage setting, similar to old expressions. But yeah, it was really cool, like doing the verses the way we did with the call and response, because you don't really hear much of that in song. I mean, I don't hear much of that in songs. But Edward Sharp, what's
Mm.
that band?
Edward Sharp and the Magnetic Zeros, they did that song Home.
Home, yeah, Home was a big. We both thought of that song when, like, during writing Remain Strange. So, yeah, it was quite exciting the way it was building itself.
So now that this has worked successfully for two songs, and you've had Soak in the Folk, which again I'm going to remind you, great festival name. Please do something with it. Are you thinking this will continue, and you're looking ahead to an EP or further than that?
Yeah, hopefully we've pretty much finished another song,
Okay.
which is about being in the moment, present moment. Um, and yeah, I think it's so fun to write with Jack, and yeah, just like let it flow out. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, Jack, 'cause you have your band, does that mean that have you done a show where Kira's actually been performing with you and your band, or has it been the two of you? And if you haven't had a show where it's been you and your band and Kira, is that on the cards?
Yeah, I think that could be on the cards for sure. We did Soak in the Folk, and we invited one of my band members, Amy Skillern. She plays cello,
Ah.
so like you can hear the cello in the Old Expression song. Yeah, it's potent. It's cool.
yeah, that was a beautiful moment at that concert when Amy was there, and it just I don't know what the word is. It just like swooped in like a dove.
Yeah, Swoop.
Well, it sounds like Perth is fertile ground for musicians. There are the venues there. There are lots of collaborations happening. There are quite a lot of festivals now in WA. So do you feel that as well, that actually there's this sense of optimism and excitement? Because, and I'm saying this because live music can be fraught, as we know, but I get the sense from the WA artists I've spoken to recently that there's a lot good that's going on.
Yeah, I feel good about the scene. I feel like there's opportunities, and yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of room to be really creative, like doing something like the Soak in the Folk, or hiring a hall if you don't necessarily want it in a venue. There's a lot of like community and support around that sort of the intimate space. Yeah, I think there could be a bit more of like the intimate style
Mhm.
shows, and maybe build a even bigger community, because
Mm.
there's so many people out there in Perth that hear about a house concert and they're like, oh my god, and everyone wants to be there. It's just actually finding a house is the tricky part.
Well, yes, because it's not just, oh, nice house. It's actually, does it have the appropriate space for
Yeah.
you to set up a performance?
Yeah.
And I know Perth doesn't get a lot of rain, but you can't always
Yeah.
have a garden.
No, no. Yeah. So, but it's exciting. It is a good place to be right now.
Well, it sounds like the two of you also could be at the epicenter of a movement for that sort of thing. You've already put on your own show, you're collaborating. I'm just getting the feeling that that you could be at the center of that movement for smaller spaces and intimate
Yeah.
shows. So,
Yeah.
so I'll check in with you again soon. But I haven't had you talking for a little while, and I'm going to encourage people to go and listen to this lovely song, Remain Strange, and both of your back catalogues if they haven't heard of you already. So thank you, Kira, and thank you, Jack, for your time.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sophie.
Sophie. Thanks, Sunburn Country. Yeah.
Woo!